And now, the host of your show, the Hardcore Enforcer, Mr. California!
Oh, yeah, baby. Another edition of Ultraviolent Radio. I like to refer myself as the Hardcore Enforcer, Mr. California, better known to everybody in the rest of the world as the Master of Ultraviolence. And we'll get really quick to our guest in a minute, but I'd like to give a little quick shout out because today is my birthday. The big 28 years old, so enough about that. I'd like to bring in my guest, former XPW heavyweight champion, former XPW deathmatch champion, and former ZZW heavyweight champion, the one and the only, from the start. Messiah, are you there with us, brother?
Hey, what's up, man?
How you doing, Messiah? How's it going for you tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, it's good, man. It's a pleasure having you on, man. You're a good worker, man, and I've seen a lot of your matches as a student as myself, because I trained with you a little bit back in the Asylum days, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, yeah, I definitely remember you being at the XPW Asylum and, training with the rest of the boys, taking down the ring and everything, yeah. Yeah, those days with D and everything. I mean, those were good times with Dynamite D as head trainer and everything over there.
Yeah, rest in peace to his soul, man. The guy who trained me, you know what I mean, Dynamite D. And I know. If we take it back old school with you, Messiah, I know he trained the guy that trained you, Hombre de Oil, Carlitos Montana, brother. Is that correct?
As far as I know, yeah. I don't think D was, like the teacher for Hombre de Oil or. And for some people, they might know him as Carlito Montana in XPW. But he had a little bit of hand in training Carlos. I mean, any number of wrestlers. So I guess it trickles down you. Then I was technically kind of trained by D as well, because actually I showed up at Slammers Wrestling Federation. Literally the next week, D wasn't there anymore. He wasn't part of the company anymore. So. I think I had maybe one or two classes with D, so that was because of that.
Okay. All right. Well. I know that this show's different from Also Bonfire Radio, but I know you're on that show too. So we're gonna go away from the technical wrestling and all the chain wrestling. We're gonna talk about what this show's about: ultra-violent wrestling, deathmatch, and blood and guts. You know what I mean? So I know you're not a stranger to the deathmatch wrestling because you're a former XPW King of the Deathmatch champion, and you were in ZZW for a long time, So let's start from XPW days. I know rumors have it. I mean, I heard around that you didn't really like death matches, but you got thrown into that mix. So tell me a little bit about that, man. You know what I mean?
It was. It's actually kind of a funny story, but it basically, I would say the genesis of me participating in death matches has to go back to the first ECW pay-per-view, and Carlito Montana, or Hombre de Oro, my trainer, and Ed Ferrara, who a lot of people know from WCW days, WWE days. He was basically like what's his face over TNA's right-hand man, partner, Vince Russo. And went over Ed's house, watched it, and if I remember right, that main event had. Not Sandman? Was it Sandman, David Ritchie, and Terry Funk. And, they call it the barbed wire and everything. And Carlos and I, we're just looking at each other after the pay-per-view, because it was a great pay-per-view. And, I think he's the one that uttered the words like, it'd be cool to do a death match one time just to say I did it.
Yeah.
And I totally agreed with him. And then, you fast forward a year and a half, 2 years later, and it's the first XPW King of the Deathmatch tournament. And, no one was forced to participate in that. No one had to be part of that tournament if they don't want to do that, the hardcore stuff or anything like that. It was completely, totally fine. All it was, you just walked into Rob Black's office, and he had a a dry erase board, and basically you went up there and, hey, you just made the announcement. Any of you guys want to be in a deathmatch tournament? Just put your name up there. And it was easy as that.
Wow.
So the first deathmatch I ever had was actually against Webb, Whitechester Johnny Webb, at the Palace in the Palace in Hollywood. I want to say it was like, like 2000, year 2000. And that was the first time I ever did anything, hardcore or anything like that. And then the second match I had was against Supreme, and for people who don't remember that one, I mean, I got busted open pretty good. There was blood everywhere with that one. But the thing that the XPW management noticed was that the next show we did at the Palace, when my music hit and I came out, I got a huge pop. And I think a lot of that has to be attributed to the fact of me, busting my ass just like everyone else did, on that show, on that first King of Deathmatch show. And then it was like, and plus Supreme and I, we're great friends. We get along with each other. I love working Primo. Anytime I get the chance, I jump at it. And, everybody knows Supreme was basically like their deathmatch guy, the king of the deathmatch in XPW. And Supreme was comfortable working with me. I was comfortable working with him. And I was basically just thrown into that. When originally the whole idea of doing a deathmatch was just to do it one time to say I did it.
Yeah.
Thing was, I was too good for my own good, you might say so. But I got no regrets. I got scars. My slogan, my saying is "Scars build character." So, I'm proud of every little thing that I did.
Yeah. So moving on this interview, brother. Now jumping into ZZW Combat Zone Wrestling, brother. You made your debut against was it Justice Payne? And when you came out to, I think it was a crowd you came out to. I think if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. But you came out and then you got a big pop, brother. People already knew who you were because of your following from XPW. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, basically, I left XPW. I want to say 6 months later, I got the call from John Zandig asking if I'd want to wrestle in CZW, and I was like, yeah. I jumped at the chance, and one of the best things that ever happened to me was leaving XPW. Being part of CZW, being part of that locker room, being part of the boys over there, there's never going to be another locker room like that. Everybody in that locker room was, so giving, and everybody rooted for each other, and everybody had each other's backs. So there was, it really was like a frat or a brotherhood of some sort. But Zandig, being the deathmatch guy, knew that. Well, according to Zandig, he had never seen me. He didn't know anything about me when I had that first conversation with him on the phone. And apparently it was Justice Payne who said, hey, why don't we bring in that kid Messiah over on the West Coast? I heard he's no longer with XPW. I've seen some of his work, and he seems like he can work. So that was that. Yeah, and the whole build-up was Justice Payne opening giving out an open challenge to anybody to wrestle him for the CZW heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, I jumped, out of from the crowd, hit him in the back. I think I hit him in the back of the head or something like that with a table leg. Basically just declared that, hey, my name is Messiah. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Messiah. I'm here to, answer the challenge. And from that point on, I just took off from that point on in CZW. Originally, it was only supposed to be a one-shot deal with CZW. I was supposed to come in, put on a halfway decent match with Justice Payne, and put him over to make, their heavyweight champ look stronger than the former XPW heavyweight champ, which makes complete and total sense. But busting my ass, I got busted open in that match the hard way. I didn't bitch and moan about it or anything like that. And like you said, the fans seem to take a liking to me right away over in Philly, which if anybody knows anything about Philly wrestling, that's where ECW was born. Hell, not even wrestling, the whole entire, city. These are the fans that boot Santa Claus. So, you really have to, win them over. And if you do win them over, then, they'll let you know right away. If they hate your guts, they'll let you know even sooner. So I was very fortunate, being in the position that I was in, being able to wrestle a guy like Justice Payne. And the fact of the matter is, Justice Payne and I, we didn't know each other from anybody. We met each other that day before the show. And for two guys to go out there and work the way we worked with each other and not knowing each other, I think it's one of my best matches I've ever had, and I think it's one of the best matches CZW has ever had.
Yeah, that's good. And moving on, brother, your feud that stands out in my head and probably many fans that went from the East Coast, jumped to the West Coast, was your feud against Sick Nick Mondo, brother. That was a feud that I watched and I seen. I popped for some of the stuff you guys did, at ZZW and also at Epic, if you remember. You know what I mean? Well, of course you remember. You were there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. Mondo. Mondo, in fact, was the second guy I wrestled in CZW, and he and I had a great match in CZW. The kid's just crazy. We'll do anything to his body to get the fans off their ass, while they're watching. And I think I mentioned this last time I was on a radio show with you, man. There's really only one guy that I have a ton of respect for, in indie wrestling, when it comes to not wrestling anymore. He basically announced, I'm retiring, I'm no longer wrestling. And I said it before, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard when an indie wrestler says, I'm retiring. To me, when I hear someone saying they're retiring, that means they got some money in the bank. They're going to kick it down to Florida and, live the rest of their life in luxury. That's what when I hear retirement, I hear that. And indie wrestling, when these guys are saying, I retire, it's just complete and total bullshit, and all they're doing is, stroking themselves off when they say that kind of crap. Mondo went into that retired, and he hasn't come back. He hasn't done anything. Mondo wasn't a wrestling guy. He wasn't a guy that watched wrestling 24/7, and he wanted to be a WWE superstar. The kid wanted to be a filmmaker.
Oh, really?
Wrestling was just an outlet for him, and he's really, he had a gift for it. But when you wrestle in that kind of style that he wrestled in and that I wrestled in, the hardcore, ultra-violent, extreme style, your body can only take so many poundings and so many bruises and cuts, and there's a reason the WWE guys are able to wrestle 4 times a week. It's because they take care of each other in the ring, they work light, and they're not trying to kill each other. And I think a lot of guys on the indie scene have no idea how to work. They have no idea how to throw a punch correctly. Everything has to be this stiff, a strong style Japanese crap, and it's it is what it is. But like I said, sorry, kind of went off the reservation there. But with Mondo, I love working Mondo. Anytime I got the chance to work with him, I jumped at it. He's a great guy, and the one match we had at Epic is one of my favorites, only because of the fact of he and I tore the house down. I'll never forget that the promoter for that show came up to me and was like, I need you guys to tear down the house. I need you guys to come, do a 5-star, 4-star, whatever match. It's like, dude, don't worry about it. We got it under control. And sure enough, we delivered on it. So,
not to interrupt you there, Messiah. You guys, you and Mondo were, I guess, one of the original guys to do that hybrid deathmatch style. You guys included wrestling with the weapons. Not like these fat boy hardcore like Ian Rodden and Man Pondo. I have nothing against the guys. I know them, but they do that fat boy hardcore. You know what I'm saying? You guys did it. You guys innovated for the guys like the J.C. Baileys and the Drake Youngers, and the list goes on. You guys did the hybrid style. You know what I'm saying? And I've seen a lot from you guys. The hybrid style wrestling. You know what I mean?
Well, the fact of the matter is, it is easy just to come over and hit somebody in the head with a chair or with a light tube, and any fat boy, skinny kid, black kid, Indian, whatever, tall, short, anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. But if you're able to tease these little spots with these weapons and not use things right off the bat, which everybody does, if people will go back and look at the death match I had with Supreme at Go Funk Yourself, we did the same exact thing, man. We didn't jump in there and start throwing each other into crap and hitting each other with stuff. It was a build. It was a build-up, and not to sound like a broken record because you hear every veteran say this, but there's a reason that guys in WWE or WCW, ECW, even some older indie wrestlers, there's a reason they say you got to build it up. You have to build it, otherwise, if you go out there and hit the guy with 4 chair shots right in the first time, in the match, and he gets up, and then you end the match with 1 chair shot, it's like makes no sense. There's no logic to it, and you're basically cutting the legs out from under you. Too many guys use deathmatch, the weapons and all that stuff as a crutch to be what they think is a worker. You take that crap away from them, and they can't do anything.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, like you said, I mean, I didn't want to be a deathmatch wrestler. You know, I did it because I knew I was good at it, and I knew I could put together a deathmatch match. You know, I knew I could put it together and build it up, and deliver on it. You know, Johnny Kashmere of the Backseat Boys, you know, he told me a great thing. You know, he was kind of mocking himself a little bit, but he just said, you know, I don't know, you know, when it comes to single wrestling, man, you know, I don't know what's going on, but tag team wrestling, I know tag team wrestling. When I wrestle with Trent, he and I can put together a friggin' 5-star match. You know, and that's how I feel about deathmatch wrestling, is the fact that I can put together, you know, an awesome deathmatch. Whereas, like you said, most guys just come over and hit each other with this, hit each other with that. It makes absolutely no sense. And, you know, all they do is, you know, hack and slash. They bleed. It's, you know, there's only so much you can do with that, man.
Yeah. And what is your, I mean, then for the match, what is your worst injury in the death match, brother, if you can tell me? Or let the fans know, you know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. I've been, the worst injury I ever had in a death match, you know something, I've been pretty lucky with my death matches. Nothing's ever really, you know, broken or sprained or anything like that during a death match. Haven't had, you know, a gusher cut that wouldn't stop. I mean, the only death match, well, actually, no, there was 2 death matches I did where I hit, you know, I got thrown through something or got hit with something, and in the back of my head I was like, screw this, I'm going home. Yeah. And that was with when Supreme at Go Funk Yourself took me into the thumbtacks face first to the outside, so they were all covered in my hand.
Oh, man.
That hurt like hell. I mean, because getting thrown in thumbtacks like that and with your hands, I mean, they get into the nerve endings and everything. I mean, it killed. The other time was when I wrestled a wife beater for CZW at the arena, and we had I think it was like a unlucky 13 staple gun match or whatever, but there was these things of glass. And instead of, and this was my call, I called it because I thought it would look better. But, you know, we stacked the tables, or it wasn't even tables, it was chairs. We stacked the chairs, you know, to make this makeshift table that they put the glass on. And Beater threw me in it, and, man, I cut up my whole entire side. You know, I'll never forget Adam Flash telling me on the way to the hotel after, you know, I'm sitting there, and he just says, dude, I can smell your blood. I was like, oh, I'm sorry, man. It's not like I'm trying to bleed all over the rental car right now. You know, I didn't think it would hurt as much as it did. But, you know, things like that you learn from, and, you know, hopefully you can just put that, you know, knock it up to learning what not to do next time and do something better and more safer the next time.
You know, and also not taking anything away from Messiah. You could do it all. You could do regular matches, like I said, ultraviolet matches. But another match that I saw on YouTube stand out was in 3PW when you wrestled a big giant, you know, TNA superstar, the Abyss. Man, how was that match? You know, how that came to be, brother? How'd you like that match between that big man?
The match itself, I mean, it's not one of my favorites by any means. We had to go home early. I got busted open hard away really bad. And, you know, I got busted open in the head with all, you know, all the things I could have got busted open with. It was this stupid-ass ukulele. You know, the little guitar that, you you sing Hawaiian songs on. Abyss, you know, busted me in the head with that. And, yeah, I'll never forget that hurt like I just remember I went down and he covered me for the pin. And I just told him, I said, dude, that really hurt. And sure enough, I felt the heat. And anytime you feel heat, that's you got a gusher. That's, you know, you're bleeding pretty good. And and with CZW and 3PW and XPW during that whole Philly Wars crap, the Athletic Commission in Philly, you know, they're really they can be a pain in the ass. You know, the fact of the matter is, I mean, they're just trying to protect the interests of the boys and everything, but they got a ringside doctor there, and sure enough, when they saw that blood, you know, they're like, take it home now, take it home. And so, you know, Abyss and I did our little thing. He gave me the black hole slam, 1, 2, 3, I'm out of there. You know, Abyss, first time meeting him, I mean, he's a great guy, nice guy, was really willing to, you know, give me a lot of stuff in the match. Unfortunately, he didn't really get to go into any of that stuff, and I think the match itself was only like 10 minutes of that. You know, so, like I said, it's one of the things you just chalk up to learning and, you know, never use a ukulele.
There you go. All right, Messiah, we're running down. The show's almost over. Like I told you, it's only a 30-minute show. So I appreciate you for coming on, to all the Ultraviolent fans, brother, and all the deathmatch fans and regular fans that if they're hearing, give out your information where they can reach you. You know, like, or you know, if you are you still wrestling, man? Are you doing any shows lately, or not really?
No, I haven't been doing anything lately. Just keeping low. You know, just hanging out with the family. The last show I did was for Acid Fest, you know, in memory of Trent Acid. So, being here in Houston where I live, I mean, there really isn't any real feds to go around to, right? You know, around here that I could just go and wrestle or train in. So, I mean, I get offers all the time, or I'm asked, you know, would you be willing to wrestle? And, you know, whether they're legitimate offers or not, I don't know. But, you know, I'm sure I'll be back in the ring one day just, you know, going out, having a good time, and, you know, turning the house down, hopefully.
So what can the fans reach you, brother? Like Facebook or MySpace, or give us your
information? Yeah, they can just reach me at Facebook if they want. You know, Billy Messiah on Facebook, or same thing with MySpace. You know, Billy Messiah.
Okay, brother. Well, you know, it was a pleasure having you on, man. I know you for a long time, brother, and it's good hearing from you, man. Hopefully, we'll bring you down the line. See, if we ever see you back in California sometime, man. You know, maybe see what's up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I know over, you know, MPW over in California. I've had some talks with Logan X, and when I say talks, it's just been like a one email here, one email there, just saying, hey, why don't you come back in, or would you be willing to come back in? And whether or not it comes true, I don't know, but you know, we'll see.
Okay, brother. Well, you know, appreciate it. Maybe we'll see you down here. Maybe we'll see you, you know, in XWW sometime, man. You know, maybe. See what happens.
Yeah,
man.
Maybe. You never know, dude. You never know.
Yeah, never know to the fans out there. All right, brother. Appreciate it for having being on the show, and we'll talk to you next time, brother.
All right, anytime, bro. Thanks for having me. Later.
All right. So that was the Messiah, and he was on. He was talking about his death matches, his violence, you know, and all the injuries he ever had in XPW, ZZW. You know, and I know the show is winding down. We got a couple more minutes. Like I said, Ultraviolent fans, April. I haven't got the date yet, but we're going to have a deathmatch tournament, 8-man deathmatch tournament out here. First time for XWW, you know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. Like I told you, Mr. Insanity's coming down. I'm in it, you know what I mean? And I like to name the third participant, the one and only, you know, Mars Olsen is our third participant in this deathmatch tournament. So, you know, and next week, we're going to have Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein, on Ultraviolent Radio. So don't miss Ultraviolent Radio next week. And by the way, today's my birthday, so I think I'm going to go to the fucking strip club and go get fucked up or something, you know what I mean? Get a couple of lap dances, because I am 28 years old now. And, you know, and like the Messiah said earlier, your body's winding down when you do these fucking death matches. And I feel like I'm older, like I'm 45 or something. But keep posted with Ultraviolent Radio, with all the shit we fucking have, you know what I mean, and all the violence and all that crap. And next week, Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein, another deathmatch fucking worker, man, another good deathmatch worker. Because Ultraviolent Radio is the face of Ultraviolent and deathmatch radio right now. And we should have all the deathmatch wrestlers coming on. So tune in next week. You can find me on Facebook, /Mr. California XWW, or MySpace, Mr. California XWW. Or if you want to follow my company, Facebook, /XWW Pro, MySpace, XWW. And tune in next week as we have Mr. Insanity, Toby Klein. And like I always like to say, Ultra Violence for Life, Deathmatch Wrestling, baby. Here we are. Tune in next week, Ultraviolent Radio. And I'm out, Mr. California. I'm going to the strip club, baby. Hell yeah.
The goals and stay controlling, stay pushing weight where bottles like me hallucinate, bubble up while you fumble up, fucking up, you fucking punk if there's a